All right, everybody, welcome back to this week's show. We are super excited to have Coach Dub back on with us again. Hello, can I talk on this Monday? But we are excited to hop in. Let's talk about the big recruiting weekend that Texas just hosted.
Official visits are fun. Everybody wants to go. You got your little brothers, you got your aunts, grandma wants to come. Like everybody wants to come and be a part of official visits. And Texas puts on a show, as we all know. Like we got the Lamborghinis out there. They're out there. You got the cheerleaders walk as you walk up into Moncrief. Like it's a whole show, right? All the support staff is out there, and Texas had another great weekend with a lot of recruits on campus this past weekend. So I know we're going to dive into some names later, but yeah, Texas did a great job, and they got another one coming this weekend. I know those guys are tired, putting in a lot of hours with setting up hotels and everything else and ordering food, getting it catered. But this is Texas, man. This is what we do. So another great weekend. A lot of families and a lot of great feedback from kids and the recruits that were there. They absolutely loved it. Texas staff killed it.
We love hearing that. So after the weekend's concluded, is there anything that's top of mind for you for fans to keep their eye on?
You try to gauge what the kids are thinking, right? When they go to the airport, you interview them, you talk to them, or you try to get their post-visit buzz, see how they really feel, right? That's the biggest thing. Some of them you got an official visit, what you call, I guess, that high from the visit. You're just happy, everything was great. So you try to weed through that and try to get an understanding of, do they really like Texas or do they have a great time, right? And so you try to get an understanding. But a lot of times, they've been building a relationship with these coaches. And so it's like, okay, I got a chance to build on this relationship. I really got to see how I'll be, I got to live an everyday life as a player being at the University of Texas, as far as, how they plan to play me, what position I'll play, where I'll be staying at, what's the culture like, what are the teammates really like outside of the football facility, right? What are the coaches like outside the football facility? And then the parents get to learn the coaches as well, because they get to take the logo off, take off the coach's hat. And you get to learn who's actually going to be around my kid 24/7, right? So you kind of look for those things and get the answers back and get the feedback, and you kind of can gauge if a kid's really interested or did he come to Austin and have a good weekend.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk to you more about in terms of these recruits from high school and where they fit into the team. I mean, we have really developed ourselves and have so much depth. We did on this squad, we did on the year before. And so what's the sell in your opinion in terms of making sure that, hey, we want you to sign, but also we're stacked here. You're going to be developing yourself for a little bit and playing behind ones and twos.
You know what? That's great. You want to go to a team that has people in front of you. So you got a blueprint. Mm-hmm. A lot of coaches can go, look, it's easy. Let's use Colin Simmons. He played a lot as a freshman. If I'm an edge, I want to come play behind Colin and learn behind him so that I can be next, right? And that's a selling point because he's not going to be here number 3 years. You look at Trevor Gooseby, who probably has one more year left at the left tackle. So we'll mention the names later, but if I'm an offensive lineman, right, I'm next in line. I want to be in that pipeline to go to the NFL too in 3 years. So it's okay to have those guys come in and say, hey, I may have to sit a year. That's okay. I'll come in and learn because I'm going to get drafted. And the chances of me getting drafted are very high if I come in and do the work, get developed from the coaches that they've been developing. There's a pipeline, there's a trust factor, there's a blueprint. If I follow that same guideline, I'll be drafted too. And like you said, we talked a little bit about the show before the show. The last 2 years, we have the most players drafted, right? Mm-hmm. Proof is in the pudding. I mean, I want to mention another team on the show, but that's what Alabama used to do, right? Yeah. Kids would go and wait their turn because they knew I'll come here, I'll probably win a championship, and then I'll get drafted. So Texas is building that exact same thing here.
I think it also speaks to the character of the guy too, right? If I can come in, for example, we're talking about Colin Simmons, if they have that in them of okay, yeah, I'm going to be the next one after Colin and I'm going to step up and I am going to fill those shoes and do more. That's the kind of players that we want in this locker room.
No, definitely. I can tell you this, Texas recruits the entire player. They're just not recruiting a football player. They recruit the entire person, man. A lot of these kids have an edge to them. You can see it in their film. They're leaders, the way they talk and communicate. There's some hungry guys who want to come in and prove it, right? But they're really making educated decisions. Really, they're doing their research. Talking to a few kids, I'm looking at the roster, see what kind of guys they recruit. They all look like me. Okay, so you're recruiting a lot of smart kids who actually get it, but they're really like dogs on the field, and you love that because we need it.
Yeah, and we've proved it, right? The GPA is one of the higher it's been as well, throughout the seasons in the past few years. So we talk about this all the time, but the culture that's being built and us recruiting those kind of guys too. So I always have wondered, okay, so they come in for the weekend. you said you get to kind of have some time where it's like not the coaching, like away from the uniform. How does it all work? Like, what do they do? Do they come to practices? Like, what does it all include?
Well, yeah. Okay. So I'll give you a whole breakdown, right?
Yeah.
From getting picked up from the house to getting dropped off at the airport, right? You get you a chauffeur, a car or SUV picks you and your family up from your house, takes you to the airport. And then you get to the airport. Once you land, somebody from UT staff will pick you up. Probably somebody from the support staff. Make sure you get to campus safely. Get you checked into your hotel where you got we all seen the pictures, right? They go and they got the cookie cake. It's all decked out in their room, right? And then the players get their own room, and then the parents and whoever else came on a visit, they stay in another room at the Four Seasons, as we've seen. So from there, man, you're going to have so much food. It's going to be loaded with food. Usually it depends on, some schools are different. The first night you have a fun night, right? You may go out top golf. You may, whatever they may choose, right? A fun activity to get together. That next morning, you got breakfast at the facility or somewhere else. As a team, that's when you meet the coaches, the whole nine, and it may be split up. You do your academic tour, you do the dorm tour, facilities, training room tour, right? Kind of go through. Then you got film. So you break off into individual rooms where you'll be playing at or whatever coach will be coaching you. So you go through that. Once they go through, like I said, I mentioned food, but trust me, you're eating the whole time you're there. Then when nighttime gets here, you split off from your parents. The kids go with the recruits or with the players, current players, and the parents go with the other parents with the coaches. Now, and this maybe could have changed since, I've been to a Texas official visit, but the parents have just as a good time as the kids. I tell you that, with hanging with the coaches. Trust me, they get together and have a real good time. But the kids they get to go see Austin, see what it's all about, right? Hanging with the current players. But, you get a chance to kind of gauge what that's like. If I I'm okay with this guy being my teammate. Is he into the same things I'm into, right? Ooh, do I really want to be around, this group of guys? Or like, I love it here. They feel like family. They feel like brothers. So you get a real gauge on how that is. And then, depending on what time you get back to your hotel room, right? You wake up early and you meet with Coach Sark before you leave. And, you have he has his final words, and then you go to the airport and you fly back home. So what the official visit kind of looks like. But in between that time, a kid could commit like, hey, this is where I want to be, or I need to think about it, So that's pretty much it.
It's exciting. I mean, a whole whirlwind of a weekend, especially as a young kid coming out of high school. Man. I can't even imagine, right? Like having the glitz, the glamour, the red carpet, all of the things. It has to be a lot. I know we talked about the rundown and the itinerary of the weekend. Want to hop in and ask you a few questions about some of the guys. So let's start it off. What do you think about Bodney Cleveland?
Yeah, him and his dad, him and his family came down, man. They absolutely love the visit. I mean, you see Big Bodney there, man. Look, that's a big guy. Look I love that.
The buffet food.
Yeah, King Kong, right, is your picture before you start your video. It tells you everything he's about, right? A big kid who can move, big, powerful kid, right? He has strong hands. But he absolutely loved the visit. One of the funny moments is, he's in the Lamborghini revving it up. I mean, hitting the gas. His dad was like, you know what? You don't need nothing like this. This is too much for you. But I love that because you get to see people be themselves, even though they're on a visit. They're going to let their hair down, right? That lets you know they're enjoying themselves and they feel comfortable around the staff and everybody else. I thought that was a funny moment, but they absolutely loved the visit. Been around Coach Baker, who's doing a phenomenal job in recruiting a player and the family. But Bodney loved his visit. I think he just canceled all his rest of his visits and moved up his commitment date. So that's a good sign.
Great sign. Great sign.
But yeah, Bodney's just in the middle of the defense, man. I feel sorry for quarterbacks, man. That's a big guy coming at you. My God. I'm not sure when y'all were on campus. Were y'all there like Rod Wright was there maybe?
I think that was slightly before us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were like Frank Oakham.
Okay. There you go. He's a shorter Frank. There you go.
No, I stood on the field next to Frank in his full gear in college, and I was like, wait a minute. Largest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. So there you go. That he reminds me of Frank a little bit, just a shorter version of Frank, but this is a big
nice.
Big human on defensive line, but he can move for a big guy. So absolutely love this kid.
His dad's like, but no Lamborghinis, please.
Yeah. Dad said no Lamborghinis. You don't need that.
Turmoil ahead.
But yeah, absolute phenomenal kid, man. He plays hard. I think one of the biggest things people always look at for bigger guys, do they have a motor? Right? Can they move? So, and he chases after the ball.
Love that.
I know.
All right, on to the next recruit. I feel like that we have on our board here is Quinn. What are your thoughts on him? Good, bad, love, hate?
No,
what is it?
no. I love Drake Quinn. I just talked about the official visit, and you can kind of tell what kind of buzz they have. He got to the airport. He was smiling ear to ear. He loved it. He loved his entire visit. Getting to hang with Coach Lyle and Clark and the guys he got to hang out with on his official visit, man, he absolutely just loved Austin. I mean, who doesn't though, right? Like everybody loves Austin.
Yeah, like what better place to get to come visit, huh?
Exactly. But like I said, got a chance to spend time with Coach Lyle and Clark. I know him and his dad are very, very high on Coach Clark just because his development and his track record, what he does with defensive linemen or defensive ends. And they know his son, if his son goes to Texas, he'll actually be developed, right? And so that stands out a ton to him. But, man, I love Drake Quinn. I love his game, what he can be off the edge. Slighter frame. So when he gets there, got to put some muscle on, put some weight on. But, man, absolutely killer first step and gets out to the quarterback. So another guy who can envision himself being the next Colin Simmons. Who knows?
Hey,
what's funny about the weight thing? My boyfriend, he's a high school football coach, and he told me that the players, they want to wear their skinny jeans. Like they don't like the weight room. And he's like, you go and see in college. So a couple of them, one went to Ohio State, one to Colorado, and they've been calling him like, Coach, you were right. It's like, don't be worried about them skinny jeans. Put that weight on. Go to the weight room.
You don't want those grown men on that field hitting you and you don't got any meat on your bones.
Yeah.
I remember him talking about that. We were like, how do we get them in the weight room?
Yes.
Trends need to change. Skinny jeans isn't where it's at, guys.
Oh, yeah. They'll see. That meal plan plus the weight room, they won't have a choice.
Yeah. I know another big guy that I feel like we keep seeing his name is Felix Ojo. So let's do a little deep dive, a little rundown.
Oh, man. Look, Ojo. I love Ojo. Look, every time I seen this kid, he was competing in a new sport. I first seen him on the football field. Then the next time I saw him, he was on the basketball court. Then he was showing shot put and disc at track. And then he competed in 7-on-7. Like, how many offensive linemen are out there running with the athletes? But this guy's like total competitor, man. He wants to be the best player in the nation. Not best offensive lineman, best player. And every time I speak to him, that's what he talks about. Like, I want to be the best. I want to prove to everybody I'm the best. And that kind of work ethic, man, that's what kind of guy you want on the team. He actually gets it. He'll buy into a culture and a program easy because he wants to be the best. He saw the picture of him and Trevor Gooseby. He's like, can I be next in line, right? Because we talked about it earlier. Trevor may be going to the NFL after 1 year. Well, there you go, Ojo. There's your spot, right? Well, you got to come in and compete and earn it, but But, yeah, I love Felix. I know him and his family had a great time. I think he has one more official visit to Utah that he just set, but I think Texas sits in a great spot for Felix Ojo. Like I said, he sees the blueprint. He knows he'll be developed in Austin. He's big on education, which, life after football at Austin is phenomenal. We all know that. And so I think it's a total package in Austin, but we'll see. I know he got a decision coming soon, but he has one more official visit he has to take. That's a big kid, man.
Yeah.
He is huge.
Most kids don't make me feel small, but, man, standing next to him, it's like, okay, Felix.
And we love dual athletes, so that's pretty cool.
I know. I feel like that'll be interesting too. I'm like, now that Jonah has, kind of set that playing field of being a dual athlete, are we going to see that more? Right? They're like, oh wait, it is possible.
Right, it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. That's gonna be tough. Oh, we got Mr. Zayden Crimper. All right. I love this kid. I love this kid. Not just as a football player, but I mean, he comes from a great family. But Zayden, man, he's a total package. Like, he gets it on and off the field. He can talk football with this kid, but he talks about, his faith, missionary, like the whole nine, cares about academics. I just love Zayden because he's so versatile. He can play tackle, he can play guard, he can play center, he can do it all. Prosper's been good to Texas. We have Jake Majors, their kicker. His teammate just committed to us, Mikey Bukauskas. I think I pronounced it right. So, like, that's awesome. And so, man, but I love Zayden. I love his game and what he can do and what he brings to the field. But this is an awesome kid all the way around. Like I said, comes from a great family. But he loves Coach Cal Flood. Coach Cal Flood, I saw him, I want to say twice in May. Saw him at the end of spring and then saw him again in May. And then he was down for an official visit. So, like, that's 3 times in the span of maybe 40 days that they spent time together, right? That's a great sign, right? And so, he has one more official visit to Michigan, but he's been to Ohio State. He's been to LSU. He's been to A&M. But can't wait. I think Texas, sits in a great spot with Crampton just because of the relationship with Coach Flood.
Yeah, I think between the offensive line and defensive line, it's been nice to see us really focus on our investments there, especially in our new conference. So you can see that we've kind of upped the game when it comes to recruitment in those areas, and I love that.
Definitely. And it's one thing, I'm sorry, you mentioned about, that kind of dog mentality. If you look at this film, everybody we watched, like, they're just punishing guys. Like, they got a different mentality. They're not out there playing patty cake, or we call it brother law, right? Oh, I got you. You're my buddy. I'm not going to hurt you. Like, these dudes are trying to inflict pain on everybody they go against. So that's the type of guys I want on the field.
You saying that, it like reminds me of when we were in college, because our guys used to talk like that too, like wanting to inflict pain. But I also, like you said, he has played a few different positions, which is always good, especially when you're moving schools and coming into college. Like, you never know where you're going to land. So love a versatile player as well.
And I think that's been something that we've talked about in the past too, of we have to protect our quarterback, like we have these talented kids at QB. We have to put the right people around them so that they can perform and execute at the top of their capabilities. And I feel like they heard it and they see the same things that we do, which speaks volumes. And let's keep doing it. Let's invest in the big guys and keep building that whole little unit.
And I think it was a big difference maker in Austin against Georgia. Like, I think that was a difference maker in the game, the trenches. So I think us really focusing there is going to help us get them back this year, which will be great.
Yeah,
definitely. We need that.
Switching over a little bit, maybe to somebody not as much on the big side of the ball.
Hey, look, Samari Matthews plays big. Look, so you guys said you was on campus when Frank Ocam was there. So you guys remember Sid Griffin. He played corner. He's a little taller corner than most. Reminds me of Samari Matthews. Samari's like 6'1", 185. There's nothing he can't do. I'm just honestly, you see him play outside corner. You see him play inside corner. Sometimes he plays safety. He's physical. He wants to punish guys. Even at playing cornerback, he wants to punish guys. You see, he just took some poor kid to the water cooler. But Samari's an excellent corner. I got a chance to meet him and see him play in person at the 7-on-7 camp they had in Dallas. And I saw him line up in so many positions, but this kid just gets it. Like, he'll come in day one and be able to compete. He has a different mentality than most kids. He's very smart, grounded, great family, great kid. But he had a relationship with Coach Orfe, the corners coach, that dates back when Orfe was at Rutgers, right? But he definitely wasn't going to New Jersey. But that relationship continued. Then Coach Akina came back and to Texas. He was like, yo, that's the dude who started DBU. I'm trying to go to the NFL. I think I need to give Texas a look. And that was before Texas was recruiting him. He was like, no, I can't wait to get to Austin. I want to go visit. And so he was interested in Texas first, and now that relationship has just blossomed. I think Texas sits in a great spot with Samari. Like I said, there's nothing this kid cannot do coverage-wise. He has it all. He has all the tools to be really, really great and special.
Yeah, I think this is a position level where we haven't been able to really get our wish list past several years. And now with DBU rolling back around, that label and that swag coming back to our school, I think that's what this means to me with Samari Matthews. I think we're going to now see a lot of the top people at this position wanting to come back with Akina as well. So I love it.
And hearing you talk about his play makes me excited too. It's somebody that can come in and really feel comfortable on the field and know the plays and be able to jump routes and get some of those pick sixes. That's going to make the crowd in the stadium and change momentum of games.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Well, any other recruits that you want to talk about or dive into that we've seen come along so far?
No, I know we covered quite a few of them. I would say just two more names just to kind of watch out for. Jalen Lott, probably one of the best athletes in the entire country. He moved his commitment to July 8th. He played receiver or DB. He's a legacy. Dad's in the Hall of Fame at Texas. Mom ran track at Texas, I want to say, too. Or played volleyball. Like, you're a legacy, right? And then one more is Caden Finley. We all know Jermichael Finley's son. He has a commitment date on July 4th between Texas and Notre Dame. So we'll see what happens there. But, man, like, legacy kids, stay home. Come home. Like, yo, it's okay to follow your dad's footsteps, right? I say so anyway.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know where home is. Yeah. Well, before we continue our conversation with Coach Dub, let's take a quick word from our sponsor, Josh Holden Real Estate.
Hi, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, you need to contact Josh Holden. The Metroplex is massive, and the local real estate market is full of nuances and subtleties only an experienced agent like Josh can help you navigate. From Preston Hollow to Highland Park, Uptown to Old East Dallas, Josh will be there to guide you through the process of buying or selling your home. Now, Josh is a UT grad, a lifetime Texas Ex. He's reliable, savvy, and from a personal perspective, he's a really great guy to chat with. So why don't you give him a call and chat with him today about your real estate needs in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. His number is 972-917-8081. That's 972-917-8081. Or you can reach him at his website, which is joshholdenrealestate.com. All the contact details are in the description below. Thanks so much. And back to the show.
Yeah, I wanted to dive in more on the official visit thing with you, Coach Dub, because of where our program stands today versus, say, 5-7 years ago, and what the courtship looks like. Because obviously you want a match, right? A match for Sark and the program and a match for the player. But in terms of just sentiments in 2015, where we really needed to sign players and maybe it was harder, versus today where we still want to sign the best players, but it's just a different type of temperature in terms of, hey, we want the right kid and right fit, but we're also not going to put people in who aren't the right culture or aren't going to drive the program forward.
Yeah, it's changed, right? One thing is we're winning. Texas, Austin has always been an appealing place. Even when we were losing, kids would show up because it's Austin. It's Texas. Just the aura about it, mystique about being in Austin. You hear so much about it. It's, you're still living off the brand and name a little bit. But I would say the biggest difference between then and now is we're actually winning. Coach Sarkisian has done a great job building a tremendous roster. It's so much now to where it's almost not on autopilot, but when he first got here, we just needed bodies. We got to find a way to get. We want good players. Don't get me wrong, but maybe we're not recruiting the best culture, right? We just need good players. We can coach that up. We can get by, and I think the portal helped some, right? Because you're able to bring in other talented guys that had cultural fits or whatever the case. But now you look at this class, it's all about adding depth, right? Because you have such a tremendous roster from first and second string that every guy you bring in now, they're just quality depth, and so you have the chance to kind of recruit the entire player. Right? What is he like? What is his family like? What kind of background does he come from? So I think winning and roster management has allowed Coach Sarkisian to really build a roster to where you can take time and slow down in recruiting, and you don't have to be so fast. Just take a guy, take a flyer. Now there may be one or two guys where he's so talented, you might hear some things about him, but maybe we can coach that out of him, right? We can coach that out of him. But for the most part, they don't have to do that. They don't have to be in a hurry just to take somebody. And I think that's the great thing. It's just the culture around the program, the way Coach Sarkisian has built it, the coaches he's brought in. We got a lot of stability on the coaching staff too. Outside of a few, right? We got some new guys, but they came in and done a great job so far. I think when you have that in place, that changes recruiting and the output. But then you still have Austin, Texas, which sells itself. And like I said, if you're winning and you got Austin, Texas, what else can you ask for?
Yeah, I know you brought up Bama earlier, and someone tweeted out it's number of active players from the colleges that are in the NFL. And Bama's first, of course, 72, but we're 8 at 50. I said to my boyfriend, he's a Bama fan, I was like, give us 3 to 5 more years. We're about to be at the top of this list. So, I mean, we're in a great position, and they're throwing out that word dynasty today on the internet for us. So I think that's kind of where we're headed. It's very exciting times.
Hey, you know what? Look. The girls want softball. It's our time in football, right? I mean, hey, I'm just saying. So maybe we'll see.
I know. Isn't that right? How many times did we make it there? And then we finally won softball this year. You want it for all the teams, right? Everyone's like, oh, we all have been here. Do you know what it's like to actually win a natty? When you tell people we haven't won a national championship in college football in how many years? Yeah. That one's hard. People are like, oh, really? Wait. Yeah, just because you hear about Texas, we're ready, okay? We're due. Thank you.
We're always a topic of conversation, that's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
go ahead.
we were talking a little bit about the landscape and how it's changes when it comes to recruiting. And I feel like we also have seen some kids that start saying, I'm not going to go on the rest of my official visits or the other ones that I had lined up. Can you talk a little bit about that decision? What goes into it? Is it good? Is it bad?
It's good if a kid's already taken an official visit to your school and then he cancels the rest. That's always good. But I mean, it really just depends on each kid. Some kids are just weeding out schools. They feel like, you know what, that's not a good fit for me. Right? I don't want to take all my official visits. And that's good because, I mean, you got a mature kid who says, I don't want to go somewhere and have a great time, right? That's hard to turn down to 17, 18-year-old because myself, and I'm taking all of my visits, especially in the era of NIL. I want my agent to negotiate with every school so I can get the most money possible. But sometimes kids really find a balance. Like, okay, this school is offering this much money. I got opportunity here, a lot of growth. Do I really want to go visit this other school? And so that's usually funny because you see a lot of kids canceling their future visits. But maybe they've seen all they need to see in the current schools that they like. And it gets stressful for kids too. I mean, it may seem like a lot of fun, but it's a lot of stress. They got to make a decision, and that decision you got to stick with, right? I know you have the portal still, but like if I make the decision, this is where I'm committing to. This is what I'm agreeing to. And so to see kids actually say, or have some maturity to say, you know what, I'm good. I visit these 4 schools. This is what I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose out of these 4 schools. I don't have to take other visits. I think it says a lot. It's huge. It's worked in our favor so far.
Yeah, it has to be draining for sure, especially if you're not an extroverted person.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you think about that, it is stressful and like, where am I going to go next? What am I going to do? Like, you think about even different, right? But like being in college and what job next and like, do I want to keep interviewing or not? Like, it's very similar to those types of things in these kids and what that must mean. Like, while it's fun to go on a free trip, like, what that might have dates for recruits change? Like we've seen some changing. Did they usually, like, when do people usually commit? Is it changing this year?
I've seen it move up this year a ton. And I think we're going to talk about it next with July law change coming up in July 1st. Kids are picking their spots a lot earlier and getting in the boat and where they want to be. So they're making a decision a lot earlier than they have in the past. Used to have a 5-star kids. They would wait to the very end. Like I'm not committed to the end because they could wait. Like schools would wait on them because they were big name kids, right? Now you see those kids start to kind of jump in early and cancel those visits and say, I'm gonna move my commitment date up, which I think is good. But I would too with this new change coming.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about exactly what that change is?
Yeah. So July 1st, I know NIL, it's changed a lot, but now they're going to have a committee that oversees it. And the guy that's over the committee, he's not a football guy, right? He's not a football guy, so he's not going to be team friendly. I think he's hired to do like investigate fraud on the baseball side, right? So I think he's a Harvard or Yale graduate, but this is what he does. And so he's going to be having his nose and everything. So you get these teams and schools offering kids money. Well, I need to investigate what are you offering. Is this kind of pay for play situation or is this like true NIL? Mm-hmm. So you got that. If you want to commit and get to a school before he sticks his nose in your fist, you better do so before July 1st. And I think that's why you see a lot of commitments. You probably got agents on the side saying, hey, this is a good deal, sign it. And I had a princess she went and played dress up. I'm sorry.
Hi. Hi.
You say hi.
I love princesses. It's all good. Hello.
Okay.
It also kind of reminds me of like from like back in our day of compliance, right? Like this is like compliance times 1,000. You did not want to be called by compliance or any of the following. And I feel like this guy is going to be even worse.
Probably.
Yeah, I've been around some programs where compliance, oh man, they show up at practice, making sure that, certain coaches aren't coaching if you're not supposed to be on the field coaching, or you're watching certain players. Like, man, well, some compliance people are, they're team friendly. They just want to win too, right? But it really depends on the department. But yeah, I can tell you, UNLV, man, they were there all the time, making sure things went right all the time. Like, hey, can we practice? Can y'all just go mind your business somewhere else? But yeah. That's what it's going to be like with these guys, this committee looking through the NIL deals. It's going to be, so teams got to be, I guess, on the up and up. Now, I pose a question, and what do y'all think? With this, the teams go back to paying under the table now.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Like, you saw this coming, right? Like, this was pre-NIL, what was happening, what, people were scrutinizing. Then you have NIL, and then people start running away with that a little bit. So I can't say that I'm surprised by this, and it'll be interesting what'll happen going forward.
Yeah, it will be.
And I think people were wanting for something to happen, right? Not every school, but some of maybe the smaller schools of, that can't do the same things as the Texas and the Alabamas and the Oregons do. So there had to maybe be some cap somewhere, like NFL has a salary cap. Is this kind of their trial and error of things, of how to level things out? But again, it could open the door for other things to start happening again.
Yeah. I think I saw a number of Texas Tech has like $55 million to spend.
Yes.
For the sports department. So they got a lot of money to spend towards, all their programs. And so it's still, not all schools are still created equal when it comes to this. So it'd be interesting how this really plays out.
Well, I mean, even just this weekend alone regarding Texas Tech, softball fans were sort of losing their minds because that coach is going ham, and there's like talks of tampering and recruiting which probably totally happened. But hey, excited for that sport overall. And I think hopefully we get to match them again. It would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm just excited that it didn't go to OU again. We have a new national championship.
Yes, facts.
Also that it's us.
Also that it's us. Yes. We love that it's us. Now it's time for it to be football.
Exactly.
I did have one more question for you, Coach Dub, because it went a little bit viral over the weekend. There was an LSU wide receiver commit, but he went on an official visit to Tennessee, and he was all in the uniform doing the lights, camera, action. And the reactions were so funny online. People were like, man, I couldn't be dealing with this recruiting mess and seeing that. So the coaches and programs that do see that, whenever they've got their eye on a guy and he's going on these other official visits, is it just part of the game and professional, or do you think some of the lights, camera, flashiness, and the way the players portray themselves online can affect their process?
Oh, man. So we can talk about it on this show. I feel like I can talk about everything on this show, man. I give you guys all the goods, man. Honestly, it's part of the process. It's part of the game. If a kid doesn't shut down his recruitment, then hey, he can take all of his visits. Now, if he's committed to you may not want him to take his other visits, especially if you gave a deposit. But that's neither here nor there. You don't want him to go take any other visits, right? Because you never know what the other team is going to offer. Now that you have your offer on the table, it gives them a chance to match you to kind of go higher. All the other stuff, the lights, camera, action stuff, that's all fun. It's cool. But everybody wants to know about the numbers. What are you going to pay me? How's the offense look? How do I fit in this offense? Can I see myself living in this town? Whatever the case. So I think that matters more. But the other stuff looks good for social media, right? It makes you feel wanted, though, especially if you got red carpet treatment. It makes you feel like, oh, wow, all this is for me. But in the end, all the other stuff, once all that stuff is turned off, what really matters is, it's the NIL. It's how do I fit in this offense, and do I like being at this school or being in this city? That matters more than anything else. But that stuff looks good for social media. I promise you that. Everybody loves the pictures. Everybody loves the glistening glamour, dressed up in a uniform and all that.
That's what I know. I think it's always interesting to see what each university is going to do as their thing for that year with the recruits. But we are so appreciative of you coming back and hanging out with us this week, giving us all of the information on recruiting and what's to lie ahead in that regard.
Look, I'm so happy that y'all invited me back. I told you, I didn't know. Look, just full disclaimer, I had no clue. I think it was 7 a.m. It's like, hey, Coach Jeff, who is this? Who is this texting me? Wait a minute. That's when people know that name. And so I was like, sure. I'm thinking.
I'm there.
I had to figure it out. I was like, oh, yeah, I would love to come back on the show. So I'm so thankful that you guys invited me back. I hope I get a chance to come back again, man. I love being on your guys' show. I think you guys are awesome, and you do such a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Anytime. Thanks, Coach Dub.